us streaming live, I'd encourage you to check us out on whatever platform you like to watch. But we're always on YouTube. That's the Marcus C. Williams channel on YouTube. As we go into this journey and start to have real serious conversations, I think my biggest thing that I'd like to talk about with you guys today is the stuff with the immigration, right? Like that's a very, very serious issue right now. And we have to ask ourselves, are we willing to actually address it head on? Is it something that we're actually willing to have conversations about? Are we willing to have those tough conversations? So let's dig and dive right into it as I work on getting these microphones together. So if you're tuning in online, please make sure that you hit the like, share, subscribe, drop a little heart or drop an emoji in the comments. And if you drop a comment, I'll do my best to bring the comments up on the screen. Okay? So do that for me. Do that solid for me. And I'm going to do what I can to pop your comments up because every comment and every share helps. It's really helpful. It helps get the message out there to more people because more people need to have the serious conversations. Now let's get back to it and jump into this illegal immigration and or what do people like to call it? Oh yeah, they like to call it migrants, right? The migrant crisis or whatever the case is. Let's start off with a couple of definitions. Let's start off with the definition of migrant. A migrant is a person that lives in a territory, is subject to their laws and stuff like that, and they are living in that nation. So for example, if somebody was to move from California to Wisconsin, right? That would be a migrant. If somebody were to move from Mexico to Wisconsin legally and go through the process, that would be immigration. So that's the difference between an immigrant and a migrant. Then you have, or you can even, depending on the circumstances, a legal immigrant or a legal alien, you would say, right? Like a legal alien is somebody that either has their green cards or has their paper on their way to naturalization. And that's a serious, important conversation to have. But we don't like to have conversations about actual legal status of the immigration system right now. But many people don't talk about how seriously overburdened the immigration system is. I'm big on making sure that people that are on refugee lists that have been waiting and waiting and waiting are able to get processed adequately. But right now, because of the sole push for illegal aliens to be able to come into this country and just hop the line on everybody, you know, hopping over the fence or coming under the ground or coming over in a, what do you call those things? Shipping container or however they get in here. Because of all of those things, the people on the refugee list are pushed back decades, right? Like if you're on a list right now to be a refugee to come into the United States of America, you're very far back on the list right now. You're like 5-10 years out if you're on a refugee list right now. And that's terrible. That's terrible. But why is that? Because of illegal aliens. It's not because of the government. It's not because of other people. It's because of illegal aliens. Now, I figure that the refugees in refugee camps are trying to do it the right way, get sponsors and get people to bring them over here to help them out. They should take precedent over all of these other people that are just coming in here. Okay, like that is jacked up. Like they're trying to do it right and now they're getting delayed. You also see a similar thing happening with people that are residents or permanent residents or citizens that are trying to bring their family over here. So now those things are backed up too. Why? Because immigration is so backed up. Anybody that's been processed in the last couple of years, they're 10 years out for an appointment. Almost all of them. Because at some point, they just got so stacked with people that they couldn't do anything. Hey, Luke, I see you there. Let's see what you got going on, Luke. Luke, I'm glad that you caught us live, man. I'm glad that you caught us live. Please make sure that you share And definitely like and subscribe and share this out to get more people to see it. Share on whatever platform you are. I see you guys watching. Please hit the heart, hit the thumbs up, drop a little comment. I'll do my best to pop your comment up like I just popped Luke's comment up. I love you all. Please make sure that you're sharing this out, because that's how we get more eyes on this show. That's how we get more people to see what's going on. And that's how we get more people to actually have real conversations. So I see you, Melissa. I see you just liked it. Thank you, Melissa. Share this out. All right. So as we continue, we're talking about the immigration issues right now, because that's a big deal. In my city, I live in Rochester, New York, you guys. Rochester is a sanctuary city. Now, whether you love that or hate that, I'm going to tell you what it looks like from my perspective as a business owner and as a Black American. It sucks and it's disgusting, you guys. It's terrible. It's terrible and it's terrifying. We had an illegal alien that they didn't even want to talk about, who was in Irondequoit. This is probably maybe 3-4 months ago, not too terribly long. And he killed this family. It was a family of 4. He killed the mother, the father, and the 2 children. And the children were like 5 and 8. And he slit their throats. Now, this is this illegal alien that had 2 deportations, and already had a criminal record here in the county. So how was he out and able to kill and murder this family in cold blood and then burnt down the house? I don't know, you guys. That doesn't sound like anything positive to me. That sounds like we should be addressing these issues. But because of the sanctuary city status and the sanctuary county status that we have here in Rochester and in Monroe County, people like this, when they get arrested, they get right back out. They're not remanded to custody. They're not sent out to ICE or to, Border Patrol. We got a lot of Border Patrol here because we're within the Border Patrol jurisdiction, where I think it's 250 miles from the border is Border Control. So we're right by the lake, so we're not too far from the border ourselves. And then Niagara Falls is right next door, you know. So they're here all the time, but they don't get remanded to custody if they commit crimes or violent acts. And we're seeing more and more people that are illegal aliens here that are committing very serious crimes, including sex crimes against small children. We've had multiple offenses of that happening, and it doesn't even get published in the media. And then they get out. Why can't we have these serious conversations? And it's frustrating. We saw over the weekend, over the last couple of days, places like the mayor of Chicago out there talking about, oh, well, we're going to make sure we protect all the residents. Residents? What about the citizens? How are you going to protect the residents and not the citizens? It's like, forget the citizens. Now, remember, Chicago is the capital of shootouts in the universe. Like, they just steady shooting out up there in Chicago all the time. You're not protecting the residents from the crime, but you're talking about you're going to protect illegal aliens from being deported. What type of priorities is that? Like, that's jacked up. Like, who's out here caring about the citizens? Somebody's got to care about the citizens. Shouldn't it be the mayor, you know, that is in charge of the city? The people, illegal aliens can't vote for you. So you're not their representative. So you should be representing the people that elected you, not foreigners, okay? Now, let me dive into that real quick. So hit the like, drop a share, and definitely drop a comment. I'll do my best to pop your comment up on the screen, okay? And Luke, I appreciate you right there. Melissa, I appreciate you, okay? And definitely share this out. And if you're watching us online and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe or follow. And we're going to go back into this. And check out the ticker below, because you can see different ways to donate to keep enabling us to get the word out to more people. So as we have this serious conversation, and I know I'm picking on Chicago, but I bring up Chicago because there are a lot of Black Americans in Chicago right now standing up and speaking up. And I appreciate you. If you guys are watching from Chicago, okay, I appreciate all of you that are standing up and speaking up right now, okay? Mark Carter, P. Red, I appreciate all of you guys so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for standing up for our citizens and for our people and for Black Americans. I appreciate you very much. Now, on that note about Black Americans, I want to have a serious conversation with you guys real quick. Okay. Everybody that's watching, let's have this conversation. Okay. Now, these people, okay, that say that they're for and support Black Americans or Black Lives Matter and all of these people talking about their allies of the Black community and stuff like that. How come you don't want these people deported? How come you don't want these people out of the country? And you're like, oh, well, Black people should support them too because they're all minorities. Aha, that's racist. Okay, let's be real or let's be clear. Okay, that's racism at the highest caliber right there, for real. This is why I take it really seriously when they try to biopic us like Black, indigenous people of color. Don't lump us all together. Okay, this is what they do when they try to say, oh, well, Africans are Black and Jamaicans are Black. No, they're not. They're Jamaican and they'll tell you real quick they're not Black because Black implies Black American. They're African and they won't even call themselves African. Most of them, they'll be like, I'm Nigerian. I'm from Cameroon. I'm from here. I'm from there. They're not. They don't even call themselves African, most of them. They're like, I'm from whatever country, whatever nationality I am. You understand what I'm saying? So when you call them Black, that's racist. You understand what I'm saying? Because you're calling somebody else us that's not us. And that's a very, very, very serious problem. And we need to have that serious conversation. But we're not having that serious conversation. And that's why when it comes into this illegal immigration nonsense and illegal aliens and the deportation and repatriation situation, they're like, well, why won't Black people support them? Let me tell you exactly why Black people are not supporting people who came into this country, broke these laws, and are getting subsidies from our government. Because they are taking resources away from the working class and those in poverty. They're taking resources away from the actual citizens of our nation. Where Black people about to go? Where are we about to go? Mexico, Canada, they don't want us. You think Colombia wants Black Americans? They don't want us. Don't nobody want us. Don't nobody want regular Americans. They definitely don't want Black Americans. You can't even be white and go to Poland. Poland don't want none of y'all. I was watching some videos from some friends of mine that are deployed over there in Poland, bro. And they were showing how the Polish people treat them, how a lot of Polish people treat them. And they're just mocking them and ridiculing them because they're like, you're soft, you're a pansy, you're this, you're that, because of what the people that have been in power the last couple of years have been pushing, what our media pushes, and all of the nonsense that's going on. Nobody wants Americans. So who's to help America but Americans? But you're prioritizing these illegal aliens. That is a very, very serious offense and affront to anybody that is an American citizen. And we need to be able to have that very serious conversation. You guys, if you're watching online, please hit like, please hit share, please hit subscribe. And remember, you're listening to The Divide on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. And if you drop a comment, I'll do my best to share it on the screen. So as we have this conversation, remember, Black people are citizens of this country. We've been citizens for the history of our nation. And there were many people that were enslaved that would now be considered or classified as Black, okay? And we're not going to dig into that too far today, but I would like to dig into that some episode in the future, because almost every Black American is American Indian, not actually of African origin. There were very few people brought from Africa to the United States mainland. They like to talk about the triangle trade and the slave trade and stuff like that. There were more people that were shipped from America to Africa and to Europe, okay, and to the Caribbean than there were people that were shipped here. That's why if you ask any Black Americans, most of their parents or grandparents would be like, oh, well, we're Native American. This is our tribe. This is where our people come from, whatever, whatever. But because of the concept that, Native Americans are more white and they're more Anglo or Anglo-Asian or whatever the case is, they try to classify that as what it actually is to be American Indian. And that's wrong. That's wrong. Those are, first of all, most of those are Midwestern, all the way Southwestern, okay, or Northwestern, okay, features and phenotypes. That's not on the East Coast. The East Coast were very dark, okay, and were black. So that's a whole separate conversation, and people don't want to have that serious conversation. And we're not going to dive into that today, okay? But that's a fact of the matter. You can look up the reclassification of the American Negro from them changing it on different records and stuff like that, and in the census from American Indian over to Negro, and that was the people that were not on, that were Indian but were not on reservations, and that also goes back even predating the Trail of Tears, which is a whole separate conversation. So back to it. So with the illegal aliens and the illegal immigration and stuff like that, these people are taking away from the American taxpayer. It's that simple. They've been brought here to overwhelm the system, to create a permanent subclass, to prevent the American citizen from being able to be upwardly moved. They are stealing resources away from American citizens. And they're not even subject to the laws of our jurisdiction because they're foreigners. So people will say, oh, well, they've got rights and stuff like that. No, they don't. They don't got not a one right. Okay, because America doesn't recognize international law. That's number one. Remember, we got a law that Congress passed that's on our books that if they try to take one of our people to the International War Crimes Courts, the ICC, over there in the Netherlands, that we can invade the Netherlands. Can we talk about that? Okay, I support that. Okay, because later for them, they don't tell us what we can do. Okay, but the point is that these illegal aliens, people are like, oh, well, they have rights. No, they don't. They're not subject to the laws of this jurisdiction. Like, what don't you get or understand? They're not citizens. The Constitution does not apply to them. And that's something that we really need to understand. But because of the lack of civics in America, and because people don't understand how the Constitution or Declaration of Independence or any of the founding documents actually work, and most people haven't even read them at all. You know, most people can't even name you 3 of the 10 Bill of Rights. You know, and if you ask anybody, can you tell me what are the rights protected in the First Amendment? They don't know. They might know free speech. That's maybe. They might know free press. Maybe. I doubt that they even think that they're both in the same amendment. And none of them ever say your right to redress your grievances with your government, which is the most important one in the First Amendment. Okay, that's the most important issue. And we've seen that be stripped away from us over the last couple of years, more and more and more. So I'm glad that the president currently is talking about restoring freedom of speech and stuff like that, because it's not just freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, okay, and we're going to take 2 seconds and I'm going to come back to the illegal immigration stuff. But freedom of speech is not really what the First Amendment is about. Now, catch me on this one, because this is important. If you're not listening, listen faster and listen better, okay? So the First Amendment talks like this, okay? And I'm going to paraphrase it, but it says that you have the right to free speech, you have the right to peaceably assemble, and you have the right to free press, and you have the right to redress your grievances with your government. So the question is, then what is the frame set of that whole constitutional amendment, right? And the whole frame set of that amendment is because those were rights that were being taken away and people were being jailed for speaking up against the British Empire. They were trying to jail people for publishing essays and pamphlets and stuff like that. Okay, our common thing today for freedom of press, because freedom of press is a very important issue. So I don't have any things to use as what do you call them, props, if you're watching online. I wish I had like a little pamphlet or something. So freedom of press is really your ability to write down your ideas and distribute them. Okay, it's to take your ideas and distribute them. That's what freedom of press is, to distribute your ideas. And it's really largely those ideas in relation to your issues with the government, or the direction of government, or the direction of the leadership in relation to representation. That's the mindset behind the First Amendment. The First Amendment with the freedom of speech was largely related to being able to speak up on the issues that you thought were important in relation to the government. Okay? Whether it's for or against it. But people were being jailed for that type of stuff. And we can't have that type of a conversation. That's why I was very upset during COVID over that stuff, where they're out there shutting people down and saying, you can't say this and you can't say that. And I'm like, but you can. The Constitution protects that right, specifically when you're talking about issues in relation to the government. And it's also about the dissemination of information, especially the information that you're disseminating yourself. So it gives you the ability to write something or make a video about something and just send it out to the world, right? Publish it, essentially. But they tried to strip that away. And now the president is like, oh, well, we're going to help you guys and give you a little more leeway with that. Lord willing, it stays like that. Lord willing, we keep our rights to that, and we don't end up like we've ended up over the last couple of years. It's very important to me. So let's get back to the illegal immigration stuff and the illegal aliens, and the fact that we need to put them out because it disenfranchises all of the Black Americans and the Latino Americans and the various other American ethnicities and stuff like that. So this is serious. Look at it like this. Walk with me on this, right? And drop a comment, drop a heart, drop a little emoji in the comments or whatever, and I'll do my best to pop it up on the screen. Okay, just don't say nothing too crazy. But as we share this conversation about immigration, and we don't talk about the impact of the services that are being provided, what did they say? They spent $300 million from, $31 billion from FEMA went to illegal aliens. $31 billion. Somebody make it make sense. $31 billion? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That should have went to the American people. $31 billion, we could have solved most of the hunger issues in America with that money. So, and if you go out and you deal with homeless, I don't know if any of you guys deal with homeless people or whatever the case is, help them out or volunteer or whatever. I haven't seen any homeless foreigners, not one. I see American citizens, Black, white, and others that are largely Black and white, and largely lately white males, which is weird. We don't really get those in my community as being homeless people, but that seems to be growing in number. And I don't know what where that's coming from. And it's kind of concerning because it's not a trend that I've seen before in like my history in life, but it's interesting to see. And whatever it is, we need to think about why that's happening and see where it's coming from, because it needs to be addressed. But anyway, we got all these homeless people, and that's money that should be going to them. I don't know if you guys heard about the stories in parts of Mexico and Arizona where whole hospitals went bankrupt because they were being forced to help all of the illegal aliens. And because the illegal aliens didn't have any insurance and they were continuously helping them and taking care of them, the hospital waits were crazy. The hospitals couldn't make any money, and they all had to shut down. That's serious. That's a serious impediment. Here in my own city, they talk about all the time how social services now doesn't have any money. Well, stop giving the money to illegal aliens. That's a start. Let's start there. And they're like, oh, well, we have to house them and stuff. Like, no, we don't. Send them back. Are you crazy? We don't have to house nobody. We got plenty of our own homeless people. We got plenty of our own people that need assistance. I think it's something crazy. I don't know the exact numbers. So if I'm saying the wrong number, correct me if I'm wrong. It's like 1 in 4. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 90% sure it's 1 in 4. It might be 1 in 6, but I'm pretty sure it's 1 in 4. 1 in 4 students in the Rochester City School District are homeless. How? How is that even possible? I don't even know that makes any sense. You know, like it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't even know what that means. It doesn't make any sense to me. Is that even possible? I don't know. But this is the type of stuff that they publish, and it doesn't make sense to me. Because if that, I don't care if it's 1 in 20 students that are homeless. We need to be taking care of our students that are homeless more than illegal aliens. We're the prioritization of the citizens. This is something very important. Luke says something. Luke dropped a comment. You guys drop a comment. I'll pop your comment up on the screen. Drop some likes and definitely share. And if you're not following, definitely follow. If you guys are listening to me on the radio, you can follow at the Marcus C. Williams channel on YouTube. Luke says, I was a Dem for decades, by the way. I walked away in 2017. So 2017 was about when I walked away, Luke. Also, side note for everybody listening. What happened then was Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer shut down the government for DACA, which we're going to talk about in 2 seconds. They shut down the government for DACA after years of Trump running and saying that he was going to suspend DACA when he got in as president, instead of them actually, because at the time the Democrats had the House of Representatives and the Senate, and they refused to do anything on comprehensive immigration reform, even though they were always crying about the DACA people. But they never did anything for the DACA people. To this day, we're almost 10 years later, and the Democrats still haven't done anything for the DACA people. And they just had the whole presidency for 4 years, and 3 out of the 4 years, they had a majority in the House and in the Senate. Make it make sense. Do they really care? I'm just saying, do Democrats really care? These are the questions that you have to ask yourself. It's important. So if they say that they care about these DACA recipients, and this is what they said, they shut down our government in 2017, or maybe it was like 2016, around that time, right after Trump. Yeah, it was probably 2017 because Trump got elected 2016. So it's probably 2017. They shut down the government for illegal aliens. Okay. But we just had the big hurricane that hit Puerto Rico. And I was like, well, if they wanted to shut down the government for some Spanish people, why not shut it down for our Hispanic citizens? No, of course not. That'd be too much, because who cares about the Hispanic citizens, I guess, right? Like, I care about our Hispanic citizens. I care about our Latino citizens, but it's very clear the Democrats don't. They care more about illegal aliens and shutting the government down for them than our actual citizens who actually vote for them. Same thing with black people. I'm a black man. They ever shut down the government for the plight of the black man? Absolutely not. Completely disingenuous. So they shut it down for illegal aliens. And that's when I said, well, shoot. And I was just little. I just was like, okay, well, maybe this is my, this is not the party for me, you know? I'm like, well, so I left, you know, and I found the Republican Party because I went through interviews with all the different parties to try to figure out which one fit me best. And it was the Republican Party. And when I got the right person to talk to that day, because I talked to the chairman of at the time, the chairman of the Rochester City Republican Committee. Now I'm the chairman of the Rochester City Republican Committee. But I spoke to him, and that was, his name is Bob. And we had a great conversation, and we were all like, yeah, that and this and that. And that. It was fantastic. But I really felt like I had found a home. So that was very, very important to me. Luke, what you got? You saying? Luke says, it was all symbolic nonsense. If they really cared about diversity, you'd think that they would have at least mentioned Vance's wife. That's how you know they're full of malarkey and don't care. You're 100% right. They don't really care about that, but we'll touch on that in a couple minutes. So as I found the Republican Party, because I was raised in the church, I was raised with grandparents that both worked very hard. You know, my whole family is hard workers or have been in the military. Most of my family has been in the military. You know, I've got family that's fought in every war that this country has ever been in since the Revolutionary War and before. So it's very, very serious. So when our elected officials decide to shut down the government, the Democrats specifically decide to shut down the government for illegal aliens, that was a problem. Now, fast forward to today with DACA, as we talk about this immigration situation, just a couple of days ago, there was a court case where a where a federal Supreme Court judge ruled that DACA is unlawful and unconstitutional and therefore unenforceable. Now, I'm sure that's going to be appealed or is being appealed, but it's right. So now DACA is encouraging not only child trafficking, but it's also encouraging the breaking of the laws of our nation. Like, you can't just house people that came here illegally. Like, that's not legal. Like, it's in the words, it's illegal, you know? So that's a very serious issue. And again, the Democrats said that they cared so much about that. I don't know when DACA started. I guess it started during Bill Clinton. Okay, I don't know for sure. I was little. Okay, or maybe not even born, but about back then. You know? So it's been all these years and nobody did anything for those people. But the Democrats said that they care so much. So they even got to wake up and see that they don't actually care about you. Democrats don't care about them. They're just using you as a tool to get votes. They don't care. They just want to stay in power. And that's not me saying, oh, the Republican Party is so fantastic. Listen, all I got to say about that is they're not using you as a tool and telling you that they're standing up for you when they're not. I'm just saying, take that as an example. You don't got to support the Republican Party, but I daggone sure tell you don't support the Democrat Party. I saw a meme the other day, and I thought it was just the funniest thing. It said, I don't know if Jesus would be a Republican, but the devil sure is a Democrat. And I was rolling. That was too funny to me because it's true, right? Like, I don't know that Jesus would be a Republican, but the Democrat Party is where the home of the devil actually would be. And I hate to say that to anybody that is a Democrat and is all huffy about it. But the fact of the matter is look what they stand for. Everything that they tell you that they're about in the Democrat Party, they go back on their word. They never address it. They never fix it. They never do anything, and they keep lording it over you so that they can stay in power, and they will draw it out to the very end until every drop of juice is out of that fruit. They do not care. They're squeezing you for everything that you're worth. And that's where we as Americans need to wake up and demand accountability. Listen, I don't have any real favor on the top of the line for government of either party, okay? Because the fact of the matter is that it's supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And if we look at the top levels of government in both parties, at the end of the day, both of them are all part of one big club, and we ain't in it. So if you're watching us online, please make sure that you share and subscribe. If you drop a comment, I'll do my best to pop it up on the screen. And if you guys would donate maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks, okay, to help us get more airtime, help us go towards getting better equipment so we can do more shows and get this conversation out to more people. And you can do that on Cash App, or if you're following us online, you can check out the link below. There's a feed below that's streaming. You can do $MW Real, the number one, that's $MW Real 1 on Cash App, or you can do PayPal or Venmo, and that's at Marcus C. Williams. Like, just donate 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks or whatever you can to help us get more stuff out for the show, to get more airtime and stuff like that. You can also do givesendgo.com/Marcus C. Williams. Let's go. Let's keep going with this. So as we talk about this important conversation, I want to get back to the DACA situation. So DACA's now been found to be unlawful. There is a temporary stay on it, though. So they're not going to hop into deporting those people that are here on DACA. Now, the question is, how do I feel personally versus what does it look like in law? In law, deport absolutely all of them. Personally, I'm like, maybe there should be some considerations for some sorts of different parts of that, you know? And I don't have a full answer. I'd have to sit down with that. It's just that there are so many other priorities to get rid of illegals before DACA. It's going to be a while before we can even get to that, right? Like, we got all types of criminals. Maybe we go after the criminals that are here on DACA. Maybe we go after that. But I believe Obama put something in place about the criminals. All the criminals have to be deported that are part of DACA, if memory serves. So that's a whole separate conversation. But again, nobody talks about how Obama had the most deportations out of anybody that's ever been a president. But we can't talk about that. Shrug. I don't know. You know, guys, you know what I'm saying? It's weird. Can't have those real conversations, because when you have real conversations, everybody wants to shut down when you have real conversations. Obama deported more people than Trump did in his whole term. You understand what I'm saying? Obama did that. And everybody loved Obama so much, and he deported everybody. He's the one who started the kids in cages stuff. Biden expanded the kids in cages. Can we talk about that? No, because people don't want to have those serious conversations. But we should. If you really and truly care, we should be having those conversations. And I encourage you, hit the heart button, drop a like, drop a comment. I'll share your comment on the screen, even if it's just an emoji or something, as long as you don't say nothing too crazy in the comments, okay? So I see you guys watching. Hit those heart buttons, okay? So as we have this conversation, it's very important that we actually talk about things that have happened. Because people in America, I love my country. Don't get it twisted. Okay, I'm Captain America in this piece. I love my country. Nobody can tell me anything wrong about my country, okay? Doesn't mean that I don't see wrongs that my country has done in the past, okay? But the fact of the matter is that when we're talking about where we're going into the future as a nation, we can only have sovereignty if our citizens are the ones that we prioritize. Because when we start prioritizing people from foreign countries, we're nothing more than a globalist nation, which is a no nation at all. And that's very, very serious. And I know most Democrats don't want us to be part of a greater government that's a one world order. And I know most Republicans don't want us to be part of a greater government that's one world order. It's very, very serious. And we need to have these conversations. But the question is, can we have these real conversations? And nobody wants to talk about it. Let's jump into the whole situation with Colombia, right? So Trump has started the deportation flights. Tom Homan has started the deportation flights. They're focusing on the criminal illegal aliens that have already been previously deported and have criminal records, or have been here and have criminal records here in the U.S. So they're focusing on them for deportation. So Mexico gave us some sass. They're like, oh, well, you can't send people back here that aren't from our country. I guess you let them through there, Mexico. But I mean, I'm saying though, right? I guess we can't send them back there. Mm-hmm. Listen, don't threaten me with a good time. Don't play with me. You know, try me if you want to. But we look at, they said that, but we can deport Mexicans to Mexico. Now, we'll talk about the Mexico situation in a second, but I want to talk about Colombia. Colombia yesterday said, oh, because we tried to, I believe it was 2 flights, 2 different planes we had to drop the people off over there in Colombia. Now, if you guys know about Colombia, you know, probably, you know, narcos, you know, that all the cocaine comes from Colombia. Not all of it, but you that's like the commonality, you know. Colombia, drugs, cocaine, that type of stuff, and smuggling, so forth. Even human smuggling and organ harvesting is real big down there. Them people crazy. Okay, I guess they're saying Colombia got better, but that's only because they sent out all the criminals over here. And you wonder why so many people are going missing, but we can't have those conversations, and we really should be able to have those conversations about all these missing people. But anyway, the president of Colombia was like, oh, no, we're not going to take these flights because you're bringing back criminals, and we're not going to take the criminals. Excuse me? You're not going to take your own people because they're criminals? Whose face are you playing in? So Trump said, okay, bet. Don't take them if you don't want to, but we're going to put a 25% tariff on you. And if you don't change your mind in a week, we're going to put a 50% tariff on you. And oh, by the way, we're going to block your visa, all your homeboys' visas, and everybody else in your party's visa from coming out into the U.S. And we're going to prevent you from putting money into the U.S. and so forth like that. Listen, let me tell you, when the president capitulated from Colombia in less than 2 hours. In less than 2 hours, the president of Colombia gave in. I mean, he folded like a $2 bill, okay, on a holiday. It was real. He folded up real fast, and it was hilarious. He was like, listen, he's like, my bad, you guys. Listen, you can even use the presidential plane from Colombia to bring them back over here. Go on, just send them all back. We'll take them all. And they have people that are Democrats out here saying, oh, well, look at what Colombia is saying. They're not having any of America's nonsense. They're not taking them back. But they didn't talk about the fact that the Colombian president said that and then immediately retracted. When Trump was like, listen, test me if you want to see what's about to happen. But the Democrat people wouldn't talk about that. And then they're like, oh, well, you know, Colombia just wanted to do that because they didn't want them to come there in handcuffs and stuff like that. They don't want the criminals to come there in handcuffs. Are you daft? Is your brain working smoothly? Clearly your brain ain't working too right, okay? Because you wouldn't say that Colombia doesn't want these criminals in handcuffs when they come back. That ain't had nothing to do with it. That's just something that somebody else said to try to make it like, oh, well, there's another reason behind it. It's not actually what it is. The fact of the matter is all of these people are criminals that they're sending back. Minus maybe one or two people that got caught up in the raids because you made us have to go look for the criminals because you wouldn't remand them to custody to begin with. If you would have just remanded them to custody and allowed them to be deported to begin with, it wouldn't be a problem at all. But because now people got to go search for them and they got to go through all the different houses and apartments and stuff like that, other people get caught up in the sweeps. And that's on all of the Democrats and all of the leftists that wanted them to keep them and wanted sanctuary cities and stuff like that. If you're so sad, if you're so mad, end the sanctuary city policies, you guys. If you're so mad and so sad about all of the deportations, end the sanctuary city process and end the sanctuary city things. End it. That way, the police and the sheriffs and stuff can send the criminals to ICE or to CBP or wherever, Border Patrol, whatever, and have them deported. And then you don't have to worry about them coming into neighborhoods and picking up other people in other parts of the family or friends or whatever that are also here illegally. Which, if you ask me, they should all be deported, but there is a priority here, and the priority is the criminals. But if they out there tied up with the criminals in the same building, in the same living facilities as these criminals, they're going to get swept up. Now, whose fault is that? That is the fault of all the Democrats and all of the people that wanted the sanctuary cities and the sanctuary jurisdictions. You can't blame that on nobody else but yourself, because those people broke the law to begin with. And you trying to keep them? What are you doing? What are you talking about? If you following us, hit the like, hit the heart, hit the share, okay? And definitely drop a comment. I'll do my best to pop your comment up on the screen. Now, as we have this conversation, let's remember, how many white people were out here talking about Black Lives Matter, we're allies and all of this? What allies? What allies for black people are you? Because you're saying that you support all these illegal aliens. If you support illegal aliens, you don't support black Americans. You don't give a flying monkey's uncle about us, because they're taking jobs from us. They're taking educational resources from us. They're taking housing from us. And it's not just us. They're taking it from other middle-class working families. They're taking it from the middle-class whites. They're taking it from the middle-class Latino Americans. And that's just, I'm just saying that because honestly, there are no Latino Americans. There are Puerto Rican Americans, there's Colombian Americans, there's all of these different people, but they all try to lump them all together, right? And there are no white Americans now, are there? There are German Americans, there are Irish Americans, there are Anglo settler Americans, even though there's only like 10 of them left in the backwoods of West Virginia, which is a whole nother conversation, but they try to lump them all together. That's why they try to say, oh, everybody's white now. Everybody ain't white. I live around a whole bunch of Italians and Irish and Germans, and everybody claims their family and their heritage. You understand what I'm saying? But they try to lump y'all all together as being white, because they know individually, if you saw that there is importance in your heritage, in your history, in your culture, that you would try to retain that individuality. And if you retain that individuality, you would be harder to control. It's the same thing that they do with black Americans. That's why they try to lump us in BIPOC, right? Black, indigenous people of color. That's why they try to lump us together with illegal aliens. How you gonna lump black people together with illegal aliens? And we've been here since before the country been a country. Come on, man, stop playing in people's face. You understand what I'm saying? And there wasn't even no real white type of person until like the 60s, 70s, after Lyndon B. Johnson with the Great Society Project. That's when everybody became white all of a sudden, right? Like they were trying to push it before, but that's when all of a sudden it became that way. Listen, when I go out with the Italians, they don't say that they're white. They say they're Italian. You understand what I'm saying? When I go out with my Irish friends or whatever, they say they're Irish. You understand what I'm saying? Ain't nobody claiming that they white, because that is them lumping you all together because they want to snatch away the heritage and the history of the culture that you have in this nation. And that is why delineation is important. That is the same thing that they do to Black Americans, where they try to be like, oh, well, these other melanated Africans are Black too. No, they're not. No, they're not. Oh, well, these Afro-Caribbeans are Black too. No, they're not. Black is Black American because Black comes from Negro, is after Negro as far as what they tried to reclassify us as. Don't come over here with that nonsense. Then what's his name? Al Sharpton, okay, with his nonsense, okay, back to Africa, Pan-African nonsense, trash, garbage nonsense. Can't stand that man. He is an enemy of the Black Americans everywhere, okay? Talking about, oh, well, we should call people African American that are Black. Black people ain't got nothing to do with Africa. Black people ain't got nothing to do with Africa. I said it, and I say it again. We ain't got nothing to do with no Africa. We're from this nation. We built this nation, okay? And people say, oh, well, you didn't build this nation. Immigrants built this nation. No, they didn't. Black Americans built this nation through slavery, okay? And then during the Great Migration, most of you don't know what the Great Migration is. Please go look up the Great Migration. It's a very important part of American history. Go look it up, okay? So this is important. Let me see. Luke says something. Luke, what you got going on? Luke says he just sent $20. I wish it could be more. You are such an important voice in our community. Thank you. You guys, I appreciate you so much, Luke. Luke, thank you for helping out the show and helping us get this message out to more people. You guys, if you can donate $5, $10, $15, whatever you can, please send a little something to help us continue and grow the show. You can do it on Cash App. That's $MW Real 1. That's $MW Real, the number 1. Okay. Or you can do Venmo or PayPal, and that's at Marcus C. Williams. So you can do it like that. Those are multiple ways to donate. But as we continue this conversation, it's important for us to identify that the people in power are trying to snatch away the culture from each one of and history of each one of our cultural groups. They take it from they made Italian Americans, German Americans, Anglo Americans, Irish Americans, Scottish Americans. They made everybody's white all of a sudden. So that erases your history, your culture, your family. You don't get to claim any of that no more. Make it make sense. And again, that's what they try to do with Black Americans too. All of these people are us. Those people aren't us. Those people aren't us. You know, and I love that Trump said this, and you can hate Trump if you want to. Okay, I'm not saying that he's my favorite person in the world, but I am saying that even if you don't like somebody, they can do something or say something good, and that's important. So he said, you know, he said about Black people in his last term, he said, you know, you guys really built the country and you're really just starting to get credit for that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And this goes into this push where everybody's talking about DEI right now, right? And oh, Trump got rid of DEI. Trump got rid of DEI. Well, yes, Trump did get rid of DEI on the federal level and federal programs and stuff like that. Why? Because it was called diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it wasn't about any of those things. Not at all. You know who got the majority of the jobs from the DEI situation? White women. White women got the majority of those jobs. After white women, the next largest segment is alphabet white men. Make it make sense, you guys. Make it make sense. And black Americans only accounted for like less than 4%, okay, of the jobs in relation to DEI. So you tell me how that's helping Black Americans. Explain it to me like I'm 5 years old, okay? Make it make sense to me. See, but this is the myth. This is the narrative that they're pushing to make you think that something is something that it's not. And they always use Black Americans to try to push in all of this nonsense. Guess what? As Black Americans, we're not going for this BS anymore. When I was little, the elders said, oh, well, we want a better representation of Black history in school. So that's people like Benjamin Banneker. That's people like Medgar Evers. That's people like oh man, I have a good list. Ernest Just, Dr. Ernest Just. That's many great Black Americans that have contributed to science, medical, and entrepreneurship, innovation, and different things in our history. Even Garrett Morgan, you know, Black people created the modern sailboat, the traffic light, the stop sign, all of these things. Where do you see that in the educational system right now? Where do you see them teaching that? No, but they'll teach Black people, oh, the government is against you. Oh, white people are against you. Nobody likes you and you can't accomplish anything. That is the most racist thing that you can say at all, because it belittles and it kind of sends Black Americans to try to steal from us our greatness of our nation and what we have contributed to America. And the people that should be most offended by that, honestly, outside of Black Americans, is white Americans, right? Like, white Americans should be very offended by that. Why do you say that, Marcus? Because they're telling Black people that they should hate you because you're against them. Is that true? I don't know. Maybe some of you are, right? Like that's just a fact. Some of you are. Some other people are against you. You know, look at the Indians and the Chinese. They're against you. They're against us. They're against our nation. This other stuff. You know, it's true. It happens, right? But it's not everybody. So when they're out there saying that, oh well, the white people hate the Black people and that's why Black people can't achieve, y'all need to be the first people to be like, don't lie on us like that. Yes, there has been times where there's been racism in this nation and in the history, but that's not what we're about nowadays. And we're doing our best to make sure that when we do have engagements and stuff now, that we're not continuing on and pushing forward that type of a narrative. White people got to stand up against that nonsense about you letting them other people tell you and say that white people are against Black people. Stop letting them say that dumb stuff. Y'all need to check these other white people before Black people check them, because if they're out there preaching that white people are against Black people, how is that benefiting you as a white person? Is that good or is that bad? You make it make sense to me. All that does is hurt your ability to work with other American citizens that are Black, and it creates animosity, hostility, and division, while at the same time, the people at the top of the government, the corporatists, the government elitists, the ultra wealthy, all of them, they still getting their money. They ain't got a care in the world. They don't care about no racism. They ain't trying to hear about no racism. But they got us down here in the middle class and those in poverty trying to fight against each other, because they know that if we turn together and we work together, that we might tip the whole board over, that we might take that teapot and we might pour that teapot out because all the tea is spoiled. Come on now. Listen. So disgusting, it makes me want to spit, y'all. But that's how they're doing us right now. They're trying to divide us. And all of this DEI nonsense, none of it teaches the greatness of the contribution of Black Americans to our nation, which is vast. Okay? And we can't talk about it because they don't want us to talk about it. You know, and then we see our famous Black American people like Frederick Douglass, who was a stalwart Republican. He said, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Republican and never wanted to be a member of anything else except the Party of Freedom. Talking about the Republican Party. That's what he's talking about. But the Democrats and the left always co-opt Frederick Douglass as their imagery all the time. They do the same thing with Susan B. Anthony. Susan B. Anthony was pro-life. She loved babies. She was not for abortion. But they try to make her like she's all for abortion and she's the queen of leftist nonsense. But that wasn't who she was. But we see the same thing. Do they talk about Benjamin Banneker like that? You understand what I'm saying? Where's his he's just a footnote in history. You know what I'm saying? It's what are we doing? You know, Black people helped design Washington, D.C. and the layout for that. We're going to talk about that? No. They don't want you to talk about that. We're going to talk about Booker T. Washington? No, they don't want you to talk about Booker T. Washington. But they'll teach you about Marcus Garvey, some Jamaican that told Black Americans to go back to Africa. The man ain't never been to Africa and then died in England with a white woman. Come on now, make it make sense. This is the nonsense and lies that they push and all of the propaganda to disenfranchise Americans and to turn us against each other. This is why there is such a division in our nation. And again, at the end of the day, it's not about party, it's about mentality. It's about mentality. And if we're not able to, as Republicans and Democrats, to come together and say that we should prioritize Americans first over any foreigners or over any foreign issues, there is a problem. That's why we see a rise in homelessness. That's why we see a decline in the educational system. That's why we see the issue with the lack of small businesses being able to be started in largely urban communities, especially in urban-run Democrat areas. Can we have those serious conversations? No, because they want, especially they do this in the left side, they want you to be so concerned about foreigners that you ain't concerned about what's going on here. I'll give you an example. So if you're in Rochester, you know the 19th Ward, okay? The Southwest, okay. Woo, woo. I'm going to toot my little horn there. Okay, you know the 19th Ward. I've essentially grown up in the 19th Ward my whole life, right? Like, so this is a very serious thing to me. So now, since I've been growing up, the 19th Ward was traditionally, as I grew up, a black community, right? Black homes, black families, black home ownership, very heavy in that area. And then the U of R, the University of Rochester, started to buy up everything and push out all of the black families. Let's see, we got a comment here. Ramon, I see you. It should be at the seat of the table. Yeah. Yeah, you're 100 right. You're 100% right, Ramon. Yep. So you guys drop a comment, hit the heart, hit a like, hit a smiley face. Even if you just put in a comment, a little emoji, I'll pop your comment up and we'll get that moving. So as we have this conversation, like I said, I grew up in the 19th Ward in Rochester, which was traditionally black. And then they pushed all the black people, started pushing the black people out when I was littler, maybe late 90s, early 2000s, right? We really started to see that push. They had already pushed all the black people out of Cornhill, but that's a whole separate conversation that we don't have time for today. So now we've got all of these, I call them transplants, right? That are living here in this neighborhood, in the community. And most of them are more so affluent white people or affluent liberals, okay, that are from out of town and out of area. And all of them have this liberal concept and thought. And it is a very serious, deleterious issue. And if you feel like I'm talking about you, don't be all poo-poo. Let me finish my point. So I use this point to point out that they continue to neglect the violence and the crime and the drugs and the shootings and the stabbings and the home invasions and the deterioration of the educational system and the this and the that and the third and the fourth and the fifth and the 20th things, right? They don't care about none of that, but they'll scream free Palestine. What the hell, excuse my language, what the heaven did Palestine ever do for black Americans? Explain it to me. What did Palestine ever do for Americans at all? Explain it to me. Explain it to me like I'm 5. Explain to me why we should support a country or a people that have never supported America. Never. Palestine ain't never supported us. And Palestine ain't got nothing for us except hate and animosity now. And it's been that way for decades, longer than I've been alive. Why is everybody out here screaming about Palestine when we got the poor people and the homeless people and the drug overdoses right here in our own neighborhood, in our own community? They out here robbing the stores blind. You understand what I'm saying? Back to where I live in the 19th Ward with all of these leftist transplants, okay? Look at Thurston. All of the businesses is closed on Thurston. They ran Walgreens out of there, okay? They ran Walgreens out of there. They ran all of the businesses. We got a ton of stores. If you were to come through our city, it's like a small business corridor type of situation in a neighborhood, you know. So, and all of them are closed. All of them are closed. What's going on? You go down Chilai, again, another business corridor in it, and you see businesses closed or just some corner stores and some drug drugs being sold and stuff like that. And these leftist liberal transplants that are there are out there telling me free Palestine and that we should care about illegal aliens. I don't gotta care about no illegal aliens when we got crime, violence, and not even talk about wealth disparity and gentrification, socioeconomic gentrification in the community that we're in right now. But that goes to show you what I've started to do is call them lily whites. Okay, these leftist liberals, largely that are white or have this white liberal thought pattern. Okay, and I know that's not what the original lily whites are, but that's who these people are, because they don't want these illegal aliens living with them. They don't want to take in any homeless people. Okay, have they housed any homeless people in their homes? Have you housed any of these migrants coming over here? We got plenty. I can go get you the refugee list from the people I work with right now for refugees looking for people to help them resettle. You want it? Are we being serious right now? How much are you really committed to what you say? And then it's the same people that be like, oh, well, America is stolen land. Okay, cool. I'm Native American. I can go get some of these Iroquois tribe people, whether you believe that they're actually real Native Americans or they're $5 Indians. I can go get some of them. You're going to roll up off your house? You understand what I'm saying? If you're going to say it and you're going to say that you believe that, stand on it. Stand on it. Be about it. Okay? Be about it. I want you to be about what you say that you're about. Okay? That's all that I want. Stand on it. Whenever I say something, I mean it. What do they say? Say it with your chest. If I said it, I meant it. And I'm not going to go back on it. Everything that I've said forever that's ever been online that I put out there, I meant it. I stand by it. Anything I said in high school, I stand by it till today. I'm not going back on nothing that I said, because when I said it, I meant it. Okay? And there's stuff, if you look back at stuff that I've said before that are issues and stuff like that, that should be worked on or are going to be problems in the future. They're all problems now. I put out and I published this too. I sent it to city council. I sent it to the mayor. I sent it to the newspapers. In 2019, I published a thing. It's called the Future Preparedness Plan for Rochester in 2019. And it's got like different items on there. If we had done even 5 or 6 of the items out of there, we'd be in a much better position than we are right now. Because if we're saying something and something is an issue, we need to be providing solutions. That's a big thing. Or we need to be galvanizing behind people that are putting forth actual solutions. Let's see, Roman says something. They can take a stand or they can take a hike. Absolutely. They can take a stand or they can take a hike. And if you care more about another country, let me tell you something right now. If you care so much about Palestine, go over there. If you care so much about Ukraine, go over there. You understand what I'm saying? And to that note, there are some American citizens that have gone over to Ukraine to fight as mercenaries over there. Boom. Hey, I can't be mad at them. They was about their business. They went and did what they said that they was about. Go ahead. But if you care so much about Palestine, go on over there. You care so much about making Mexico better or making Colombia better or making wherever the country is where these illegal aliens is from better, go down there. They need your help. But you don't want to spend your capital. You don't want to put your energy into that in their country. You'd rather expel your energy for stuff here in our country that is deleterious to the advancement of our actual citizens in our nation. Don't even get me started, because it's a very serious issue. Let's see. Luke says something. What you got going on, Luke? Luke says, right on. I live in the 19th Ward too. And every time I drive down Genesee, it makes me sad. It is sad, bro. Listen, I've gone to all of my schools have been in the 19th Ward. Okay, because of the deterioration in the 19th Ward, that's how I ended up in politics, you guys. Because of seeing how the things went backwards in my neighborhood, in my community, I'll give you a long story short on how I got involved in politics. I got involved because I went to my city councilman. I said, hey, bro, I don't like what's going on. I'd like to sit down and have a conversation with you, you know? And I'm wet behind the ears. I don't know nothing about politics, except I'm an American citizen and I have this concept that our government's supposed to represent us. So I went to him. He's like, oh, yeah, well, I'll sit down with a meeting with you next week. And next week never came. So one day I was going to Walgreens, which is now closed because of all the crime. right? Because we can't talk about the crime. We can't address the crime. You know, Walgreens is now closed. But anyway, I went there and there was a guy there collecting signatures to get on the ballot. Okay. And because in New York State, you have to collect signatures for people to get on the ballot. He's like, will you sign my petition? So I asked him like 10 minutes worth of questions about a petition because I'm not putting my name on my signature on anything if I don't know what it's about. So one of the names that was on that petition was my representative for city council, Adam McFadden, who had ended up stealing a whole bunch of money from the poor people, okay, that he was supposed to be working on housing for. He stole like millions of dollars from the poor people. Crazy, insane nonsense. But at that time, we didn't know it. So he was like, well, will you sign my petition? And I thought about it because his name was on there. I was like, absolutely not. You know what? I think I'm going to run for office. And that's what got me involved in politics. And that was about 2017. And that's why I ended up getting involved. So that goes back to the story I was telling earlier. But seeing what happened in my community, like Luke says he lives in the 19th ward and he hates what happened when he goes down Genesee Street. We used to be a bustling, thriving community with massive amounts of small businesses. I had a store on Genesee Street. I also had a store on Chila Avenue. Okay. I had a store on both of those streets. So when you want to talk about business and the issues with small businesses in the neighborhoods, in the community, I can tell you specifically. So I don't want anybody to say nothing, because anybody that's got some lip to say something about me in the neighborhood ain't from the neighborhood. That's it. Point blank. Y'all not from here. Y'all transplants. Okay. Y'all ain't do no businesses. What businesses y'all opened and ran here for years? Okay. In the neighborhood, in the community that I went to all my schools are in. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, but this is the fight that we have with people that know so much that isn't so, right? And it's disgusting. It's really, really frustrating. So it's disgusting, makes you want to spit. It's ridiculous. So I'd encourage you guys, please, you guys, donate. I'd appreciate it if you can donate $5, $10, $15, $20, whatever you can do. It helps us get more airtime and put money towards getting better equipment so we can get the message out to more people. I think Luke said that he donated $20. If somebody can match that $20, that would be great. You can donate via Cash App. That's $MW Real 1. That's $MW Real, the digit 1 on Cash App, or you can do PayPal or Venmo, and that's at Marcus C. Williams. Or you can also do givesendgo.com/Marcus C. Williams. Please match Luke's donation of $20. Okay. Every bit helps us get more airtime and start to save up for more equipment so we can get the message out there further. And if you need to see in the little, what do you call that? The ticker below, you can see the different ways to donate so that we can get this information out and I can create more videos and stuff like that. But really, I'd like more airtime so we can get the message out, the message out to more people, because these are very, very, very important conversations that we need to have. Nobody else is having these type of conversations. And if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? And that's why it's so important. So please match Luke's donation. You can do it on Cash App, $MW Real, the number 1. He put $20. Please, somebody match his $20. Okay. Or you can donate via PayPal or Venmo, and that's at Marcus C. Williams. Okay. So we're going to come in and we're going to keep having these conversations. I'm going to make a couple more videos this week, but because I work and I got so much other stuff going on and stuff that I've got to plan for and stuff like that, I need your help. I need your support for the stuff that we're doing. So as we get ready to leave out here, I want to leave you guys with this. With these illegal aliens starting to be deported, it's very important that you understand that if they're deported, then the wages have to go up, right? Like people complain, oh, well, people can't get paid enough at these jobs or that jobs or whatever. Well, one of the big reasons why these people want these illegal aliens here is so that they can pay them less. You know, one of the big cries from the Democrats are, oh, well, who's going to pick the food and who's going to do the jobs that Americans don't want to? Really? Do you hear yourself? You want a subordinate, what would you call them? A slave class, or what are they called? Serfs? That's what you want? You want sharecroppers? That's what you want? Democrats are saying that out their mouth. First of all, most of them ain't picking food or crops or nothing. They let 30 million illegal aliens in here under Biden that we know about. In 4 years, they let in 30 million. You know, there's only 40 million Black Americans, and we've been here 500 years, okay? Which we're not going to talk about why that is, and we're not going to talk about all of the situations along with Margaret Sanger and other things like that. But there's 40 million of us here, and they brought in 30 million illegal aliens. If that doesn't let you understand how much they hate Black Americans and how much they want to create a permanent subclass in our nation, you need to wake up. And any of these people out here saying that they Black allies or Black Lives Matter or they care about Black people, any of that, y'all need to be standing the hardest and the firmest against, okay, people that are trying to keep illegal aliens in this country. You should all be supporting repatriation and deportation, okay, if you really care about Black Americans. Don't play in my face and tell me that you care, but you don't, okay? Because with these people outside of the country, that means there are going to be more jobs available. Not only is it going to encourage innovation, it's also going to encourage wages to grow up, which is another thing that Democrats talk about all the time. Oh, the wages are too low. Well, the wages will go up if you get rid of illegal aliens because, as you say, the illegal aliens should be paid a fair wage. No, they should get out the country. But they're being paid less because they can be paid less because they're not here legally. So get rid of them, and then they'll have to hire actual Americans to do the jobs. And in order to get more Americans, that means they're going to have to pay a fair wage. Y'all the same people that be complaining about the minimum wage. I'm not trying to hear none of that, okay? This is serious, and this is important. So if you want a better, improved quality of life, if y'all out here talking about, oh, well, all of this, and then you talk about the unions and stuff like that. We support unions and stuff. Do you support unions? Because you sitting up here telling me that you care about illegal aliens. So if you care about illegal aliens, you can't care about unions. Because the unions are American citizens that are working hard to actually keep their jobs and stay in jobs. And I know some of you guys are members of unions and you're not the happiest with the unions or stuff like that. But I'm just using this as the point that they say that they care about the unions, but they don't really care about the unions because they support illegal aliens. If you care about unions, you should be supporting repatriation and deportation. That's a tweet. I think I'm going to tweet that out after the show is over. So this is very, very, very serious. Hit the like, hit the heart, drop a comment. I'll try to drop your comment up on the screen. Please do donate. That's Cash App, $MW Real One, or Venmo, or PayPal, and that's at Marcus C. Williams. As we go along this journey together in our country, Trump said we're at a dawn of a new golden age for America. And I don't care if you love him or hate him. Let's make it a dawn for a golden age for us, right? Let's take advantage of this ability that is given to us right now to work together, to collaborate, to create more small businesses, to create more entrepreneurship endeavors, to improve the quality of education, with vocational training and on-the-job training, to get people into better paying jobs so that they actually can have a living wage and can buy their own homes and don't have to struggle. Let's work on those things. Let's work on the food supply. Let's work on those things. Let's work on improving the quality of the food by pulling out all of the horrible toxins and seed oils and extra additives that are in the food, and go back to basic things like beef tallow and lard and stuff like that. Let's go back to the old ways, because the old ways were good. And somebody will be like, well, there used to be racism and this and that. I'm not talking about that. Stop that. Sit down. Okay? These are the directions that we need to go to restore our country. He said that he's about restarting the golden age for America. Let's be part of restarting the golden age for America. And even if you don't believe him, let's make it happen for ourselves anyway. Okay, it's time to stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. I'll catch you guys later. Be blessed and be well. And remember, get active on the local level. Go to a city council meeting, go to a school board meeting, fire district, whatever interests you. Get involved locally, because it's going to be up to us to make the change on the local level so that we can empower our friends, our family, and our whole nation and lift us up all together, because a rising tide lifts all ships. You guys be blessed and be well. Catch you later. And share this video, okay? All right.